Why don't you come? You come closer. Come closer. Come closer.
Do you feel slack? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, because we're seeing.
How are you, Tova?
Good. How are you?
That's a shame. Nice to see you. They're also from the Commonwealth. Don't feel so. Tova's from Tova's from Toronto. When I was a kid and went to Cheder, we used to have to sing every day, God save the Queen. Save our, did you do that in Toronto too? Not anymore,
my
no.
parents say they used to sing
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We used to sing, "Oh Canada," and God save our gracious Queen. Yeah. Okay, so the last thing that we did was on page, let me see where we are. Okay. I think we're starting on page 189 today. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so these are teachings that relate to the month of Av, Tammuz Av, and the last major piece that we were doing was where Reb Shlomo was giving over a teaching from Reb Nachman and talking about, being connected to our supernal point and being connected down here below. Come on in, Reb Michal. And so they all speak English, Michal. They all speak English.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Michal is also from Toronto. Michal, where did we stop? 189 or? Michal keeps the place all the time.
We finished 188 already. We're ready to start 189.
189, that's what I thought. Okay, good. So, the Nachman, the Reb Shlomo was explaining that when do you feel your connection to the base, when do you feel your connection strongest? Is like when you lose it, unfortunately, right? And Tisha B'Av and on the fast days, Hashem takes away our diversions, right? It takes away our aspirin, takes away all these different things that were diverted, that divert our attention, to help us realize that mamish we really need to strengthen our connection again. We really need to be, strong in our connections. So let's start on page 189. Briti Hashem. Being in a covenant with God, right? So he says like this, it's a big question. Why is it that I know something and then I don't fulfill it? Right? It happens all the time. We know things, right? We know things, but we don't do it, right? Tova, if you you can turn on the fan there. You push the number 1 and also the red button. Okay. Number 1 and the red button. Okay, good. So, see, why is that? I'm not really connected to it. If you know something and you act on it, that's because you're connected with it. If I know one word of Torah and that word connects me to my supernal point, or to my point in this world, then I don't have any problem in fulfilling it. Right?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So we've been talking about what it means to be connected, right? We've been learning about that all last week. And so when you're hungry, right, what do? You eat. Sorry to bring it up on a fast day, right? But when you're hungry, you eat, right? Why do you, now, there's a lot of other things that you also know, but you don't actually do it. Why don't you do it? If you know something, why don't you do it? There's so many things that we know that we know, and we don't do it, right? Because we're not that connected with it. It doesn't really it doesn't shake us up. It doesn't really make such a big difference. We know it. Okay, so we know it. Once somebody told me that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that he only asks 50% of what he really wants the Hasidim to do, and of the 50%, he hopes that they'll do half of that, and they'll do 25% of it, right? So, the people knew that when the Rebbe said something, that he was really serious about it. But some people would go ahead and do it, and some people would not. But I don't mean that's just an example. It's generally true. For example, there's this Reb Daniel Kass. Have you heard about his elevation seminar that he's doing now? Yeah. And so they started last week with a whole webinar system. They've got over 400 people signed up. Now he's teaching people how to daven, like how to really pray. Okay. And he first gave his seminar like a couple of years ago, and I've met people who participated, and they said they never prayed like that. Now, every one of us knows that when we go to shul or shul or not in shul or whatever it is, when it's time to pray, we know that it's in order for it to be real, right? It's quite an involving effort and experience, right? That's the reality. Now, how many times, let's say out of 100 times that we go to shul, how many times do we actually daven? We know how serious it's supposed to be. We know or for example, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. How much of the rest of the day do we live with that consciousness, right? That Hashem is one. That if we would really be in that consciousness, if we would be dancing all day long, seeing another person would be the greatest joy, etc., etc. These things would be wonderful, right? Or I know that I should be learning more Torah. So am I doing it? Hopefully a little bit, right? I know that I should. So Reb Shlomo says, why is it that I could know something and not act on it? Because I'm not really that connected to it. So now he goes on to explain like this. Ma b'ritim Hashem. What does it mean to be in a covenant with God? B'ritim Hashem perusha she'halamala v'halamata sheli mechubarim v'Hashem. To be in the covenant with Hashem means that my supernal life, or my supernal connection, and my connection here in this world, are actually connected with God. Chaverim, אם אני פוגש אני נותן לו משהו. For me, the poor person, I give him something. אבל אני לא מחפש עניים, I don't go out looking for poor people, right? Because I don't have that much money. So if I don't happen to see a poor person, then I'm happy that I didn't have to give my money away. How could it be that I should be walking in the streets of Yerushalayim and not see a poor person? Because I'm not that connected with the mitzvah of tzedakah. אני עושה את המצווה, אבל אני לא קשור אליה. Right? Reb Shlomo is getting into the difference between doing the mitzvah and actually being connected with the mitzvah. איך השם בחן את אברהם לראות אם הוא קשור? How did God test Abraham Avinu to see if he's actually connected? השם בחן אם הוא רץ לחפש עניים. The test was, are you running to look for poor people? Right? Right? The Parshat Vayera, right? 3 days earlier, he had just circumcised himself, right? And he's sitting there, and the Torah tells us, he's sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. The Torah, besides telling us what the weather report was like during the flood, the Torah doesn't tell us what the weather was like just about anywhere else, right? And here's one situation where the Torah is telling us it's in the heat of the day. He's sitting at the entrance of his tent, and what's he doing there? And so he's waiting to see. He's looking for poor people. He's looking for poor people, right? Abraham אמר להשם, אני לא יכול לחיות בלי לתת לעניים. Abraham Avinu says, I cannot live without giving to poor. Abraham כל כך קשור, גבל קשור, he was mamish connected to the mitzvah. וכאן אני רוצה שתדעו את עומק העומקים. So I want you to know the deepest depths. Hashem natan l'Avraham Avinu mishnei mevchanim. God gave Avraham Avinu 2 tests. One is, Haim ata mechapes aniyim? Are you looking for the poor? Im ani lo mechubar lemitzvat tzedakah lemala, ken katavti sefer al mitzvat tzedakah. If I'm not really connected to the mitzvah of tzedakah above, yes, I've written a book about tzedakah. Aval haim ani mechapes aniyim be'emet, but do I go looking for them? Right? Abraham haya, page 190. Abraham haya chole u'malei yisurim. He was sick. He had just circumcised. He was full of pain. Amar le'mishartav, and he says to his servants, and eni mesugal lichyot b'li latet la'aniyim. I can't live without giving something to the poor. Zehu hakesher shelo im Hashem lemata. That's his connection with God here in this world, right? In other words, he wants to do it. He wants to do it. He doesn't feel that his life is complete if he's not actually doing it, right? So we've spoken about this many times in so many different ways, like the whole Exodus, the whole Sipur Yetziat Mitzrayim, the whole enslavement of our enslavement in Mitzrayim. What's it all about? You have to do it. What's it all about? It's Paro says to Moshe, your Judaism is just a mind trip. It's all in your mind. It's not connected to you here below, right? Here below, this is my territory. Right, everything, and according to the Kabbalah, Paro is the letters Ora. Paro represents the Pharaoh represents the narrows between the mind and the heart. Right, he's saying everything here below is my territory. You know, religion is something for your. You know, it's good for this. It's a nice intellectual pursuit. It can bring you some happiness and so on and so on. But that it should actually change the way you live. Paro says no way. Okay, and what Avraham Avinu is teaching us is that to be in the covenant with Hashem, it doesn't mean just that there's a few nice rules and we do them when we need to do them. We're obedient to God and so on. It means that you can't You can't live without doing it. You can. This is your life. You've got it. You're totally devoted to it. Madua, fourth line. Madua Avraham itpalel b'avur Sdom. Why did Avraham Avinu pray for the people of Sdom? It's a good question. He knew that they were rotten. Like, what drove him to pray for them? Ki gam l'Sdom haya kesher im olamala. So Sdom also has some connection with the supernal realm. Harei Mashiach ba misdom. Right? Mashiach, right, as you know, from the daughters of Lot, then eventually Ruth, and so on. So Mashiach comes from Sdom. And Abraham chashu ulai Sdom lemata rikubim yashoresh. Avram Avinu felt that maybe the people below, the people in Sdom are rotten, right to the root. אבל אם אפשר לקשר את הלמטה שלהם עם הלמעלה שלהם, אי אפשר לתקן אותם. So Abraham Avinu prayed, and he basically said, if we can reconnect their below with their above, then we can fix them. אולי יש 50 צדיקים בתוך העיר, גוואלד ריבונו של עולם, master of the world, תן לי 50 צדיקים, give me 50 holy people, אם רק אוכל לקשר להם את הלמעלה עם הלמטה, אתקן אותם תקף ומיד. If I can only reconnect them, reconnect their supernal point with their world, with their mundane world, then we can fix them right now. Right? So to be in the covenant means that you don't just believe that there's one God, that Hashem is Echad, but you care that the whole world should be connected with Hashem. Why did I speak Lashon Hara again about another person? I learned in the Torah that you're not allowed to do a certain thing. And I see somebody doing that transgression, and I go and I speak badly about him. Why do I do that? Why do we do that? I'm connected to the Torah below. אם הייתי קשור לתורה למעלה, לא הייתי מסוגל לדבר דברים רעים על שום אדם. If I was connected to the Torah above, I wouldn't be able to say anything bad about anybody. Anybody want to explain that?
This is a guess. If you're connected to the Torah above, one of the mitzvahs is you have to learn.
Right.
So if you're connected like that, you can be connected below by seeing people with the name of Mashiach, with supernal eyes that you cannot say anything wrong, bad about them because you're looking at a neshama from Shemayim. Maybe that's it.
That's very nice. Yeah. Yes. You want to say something?
No, it's not so clear.
It's not so clear.
It's not clear. I don't.
It's not so
that
clear.
Seems
Right? Why isn't it so clear? Yeah. What do you want to say?
Because what you said before about being echad, because you're talking about yourself, because you're part of that same neshama.
So in other words, if it's real echad, it's you, right? Let's take an example. If when you see your child doing something wrong, do you go and speak Lashon Hara? Do you call the neighbors and say, "My kid did this, my kid did that"? No, you don't do that, right? Why? Because your connection is so deep, right? Okay. So if my Yiddishkeit is like, so to speak, street level, right? I'm not connected about, and I learned that that this is, you got to eat by this hechsher, you got to do this, you got to do that. And so then I see somebody that's not doing it. So what do we end up doing? We go and we speak against them. Because we're not connected above, we're connected only on the street level. And I'm saying he's not playing by the rules. He's on the other team or whatever it is, and so on, right?
It's a fine line, though.
Huh?
I can give you an example with something on the way here.
Yeah,
I was riding my bicycle,
yeah,
making a turn. There's a no yields. There's a yield sign for the people coming the other way, and the car coming the other way, a religious woman driving, and she cut me off in the middle of my turn
mm-hmm.
when she had supposed to yield to me. So I shouted out Maza.
So that's not Lashon Hara.
That's not Lashon Hara. But then I was continuing to think about it on the way here.
No.
And I was thinking as about Dam Yehudi Hefker, but after by a Jew, it doesn't care enough about me. So I was thinking in my heart. I didn't say
it's an example of. I mean, this is if we were really connected above, we wouldn't do such things. We wouldn't cut people off. We wouldn't insult people. We wouldn't ignore people. Right? Remember, Reb Shlomo once. I never saw it inside, but I've mentioned it here a few times. We're standing at Har Sinai, right? And now imagine somebody pulls you by the sleeve and says, "Do you think that God is going to tell us that we're not allowed to commit murder?" Right? The Torah wasn't given yet, but somebody said, "Do you think Hashem is going to tell us that you're not allowed to commit murder?" You look at that person, you say, "Are you here or you're not here?" Like wake up, right? So we were on such a high level, it's even hard to imagine that Hashem had to tell us don't commit murder, right? So there's a number of explanations, but one of them is like this. The Zohar says that on the street level, we heard don't commit murder means don't commit murder, plain and simple. On a higher level, we heard when Hashem said Lo Tirtzach, we heard God saying, do not embarrass anyone in public. On a higher level, we heard Hashem saying, don't take your anger out on anyone. It's also a form of murder, right? And on the highest level, we even heard God saying, don't even ignore anyone. Right? Now, so on the street level, Baruch Hashem, we're not walking around and knocking people off, right? But if you're really connected on a higher level, then you're not going to embarrass anyone either. If you're really connected on a higher level to that, you're not going to take your anger out. And if you're connected on a higher level, you're not going to ignore anyone, right? So is there an equivalency between ignoring somebody and murdering somebody, besides other than conceptually? There is no equivalency. So he ignored me. So does it mean that he murdered me? He didn't murder me. He just ignored me, right? But it means that when that means you're not really connected on the highest level of that mitzvah, right? Okay. So and
each mitzvah has those levels.
I imagine so. That but I've heard this teaching about Lo Tirtzach, but I don't but each mitzvah I'm sure has many levels to it, right? I mean, in general, the whole Torah is referred to as Mishal HaKatmoni, and the Torah is referred to as the parable of the primal being, right? The whole Torah is a parable about Hashem, and Shlomo HaMelech was able to give 3,000 parables and everything in the Torah, right? And each parable was a parable on the previous one, right? So it was level to level to level. So, but the Torah is given to us in a way that we can understand it on the street level.
What are you saying? So I don't know what you mean with
Shaya.
that Chad's response to that lady, not what he said, what he's feeling.
Right.
He's got to work through that until he's forgiven her. Or what practically are you telling him?
Well, if you see her again, you should stop her and you should say to her, you endangered my life, and please be more conscious about how you're driving.
That's what I say to her. What do I say inside myself? Because I was hurt. I was angry. I'm angry that my life was in danger.
So what's wrong with that? I mean, what do you need to
But
say?
how am I supposed to be feeling loving towards this? I mean, what do I do with my feelings? In my case, if somebody hurts you or threatens your life, you're not supposed to speak Lashon Hara about them. I spoke about it.
No, you didn't. We don't know who you're talking about. You're
I don't
talking
know
about
who she is either.
Okay,
I wouldn't recognize her by
yeah,
sorry.
no.
So what's the difference between Lashon Hara and Tochiach Tochiach? And because I said to her, what are you doing?
So that's exactly the point. Is that's why we have a mitzvah for Tochiach Tochiach, is go and rebuke the person rather than go and tell everybody else about it.
But now, because I tell people about it here. So is that right or not wrong?
No, what you're sharing now is how you're feeling about it, right?
Right.
So what's your question? How are you supposed to?
Here it's saying you see someone's doing something wrong, you're not supposed to speak against them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see someone is doing something wrong that's hurting somebody,
so then you should.
You speak to them.
No, but I mean, see, there's a whole book.
What is it you don't say?
There's a whole book of halachos on lashon hara. It's not stam that that you never say anything. Just sometimes being silent could be the very wrong thing to do.
Right.
Okay. But if I understand, your concern is what he's supposed to do about being upset.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that you could do is that one thing that you can do is you can ask yourself, is there anything I could learn from this? Right? The Baal Shem Tov, remember the Baal Shem Tov says that, and by the way, I'm not pretending that I have the full answer to your question, okay? Baal Shem Tov says that when you see something negative, when you see somebody else doing something negative, okay, there are two things to keep in mind, and Hashem is like, it's not like as if Hashem is speaking Lashon Hara and saying, "Hey Shalom, come here. I want you to see what that guy is doing." We believe in divine providence, right? So if it's been orchestrated that I should see someone doing something negative, Hashem says two things. One, Hashem is saying to me, I have the same problem. Okay. That means to say it might not be in the same particular manifestation. It might not be as vulgar, so to speak. It could be many subtle degrees removed, but I've got the same problem. Okay. So Hashem is showing me something that I need to fix. And secondly, Hashem says, I want you to help this person fix that. Okay. So in this particular situation, one question to ask yourself is, am I cutting people off? In one, not necessarily on the road, but am I cutting people off in some way? Okay. And the other thing is, what can I do to help this person be more conscious not to drive that way? So if you happen to know this person and you have a way of getting in touch with them, then that's what you should do, whether dropping them and opening them in the mail or whatever, if you were to have me. Okay? Maybe you can send a donation to one of these road safety organizations, to help them with their work or something like that. But those are the two things. Am I, what am I doing that's similar to what happened to me now? And secondly, what can I do to make it better? But it's
also very important how you say it to another person. That's
of course. But that's
open them up to change.
Absolutely. Okay. the Bichlal, that's the whole matter of das, of consciousness, is to. We were listening to a recording, from I don't know from what year it was, but where the Rebbe was like talking, and he was like almost crying, and he was talking about people who are living a very good religious life, but have given up on seeing Hashem's involvement in their lives. As they believe in God, they learn Torah, they daven, they do things and so on, but they don't see. They say, is God here now in my life right now? Am I relating with Him right this minute? Or am I just like, like I meet Him in shul and that's it, or something like that, So it's not always easy, like when something really good happens, we say thank you God, thank you God, thank you God, thank you God, and so on, right? But how many times do we say thank you God when things are just ordinary, or when something negative happens, right?
What may be ordinary for us is really a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
At least at my age, I wake up in the morning, and to me, that's a miracle.
it's a miracle for everybody, but you're more aware of it, right?
I'm 1 year away from when my mother died.
So you're more aware of it, yes.
I see more than I need several times a day. It's not just once a day.
Yeah. The issue of gratitude is a very big issue.
Insofar as what he was saying, what should he do with all these feelings? As you were talking, I remember when my father was nifter, he was my first parent to go. I was overwhelmed. I was in my 40s. I was overwhelmed. I just couldn't function. But I remember that when Aaron HaKohen lost his sons, he kept quiet. I found it difficult. I went to my Rav in the shul and I told him, I says, he says, not everybody is like Aaron and Cohen.
That's right.
I said, so what should I do? He says, you can't keep it bottled in. Yeah, he did caution me, don't say to other people, because if you say to other people, you're liable to say something negative. Why did God do this? Sorry. So what I'm saying to you is you have these feelings, so you have them.
Right. But the Indian is to do something positive with it.
I agree.
Right? Okay. And I say again, I'm sure there's much more to it. Okay. So but remember, we mentioned it already a number of times. Reb Shlomo explained that according to the tree of knowledge, speaking Lashon Hara is okay. Makes sense. Tree of knowledge of good and evil. So-and-so did this, why shouldn't I tell you? I'm telling you the truth. But according to the tree of life, Lashon Hara is totally wrong. Right? And this is what we were learning, spoke about yesterday, the Shalosh Shudas also. The Indian of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. The Tzemach Tzedek explains, when Hillel said to the convert, he said, that which is hateful to you, don't do to others, right? So the Tzemach Tzedek in his mind gives the following explanation. Somebody comes and says, hey, Shalom, you did this and this, okay? And he's telling the truth. I did, let's say he says, you've done certain negative things, right? I would hate that. Why would I hate that? It's the truth. I know it's the truth, right? But what that person is doing is he's highlighting these negative things and he's saying, this is who you are, right? But I have enough love for myself to know that even though I've done these things, this is not my entire being. And I know that I have some connection to some higher aspect of myself. And I do hope that one day I won't do these negative things, right? So you're taking the person and you're highlighting their negativity or their faults, and you're saying, this is who you are, right? Don't do that to somebody else, just like you would hate somebody doing that to you. Okay? So with your own self, you have a sense of, I still have an neshama, I'm still connected to something higher. Yes, I'm not totally perfected in everything I'm doing in this world, but hopefully I'll do something positive about it. I'll make some positive change, right? Okay. So same thing with another person. You see somebody, if you're connected above, in other words, which means to say you're also conscious of the fact that this person has a neshama and that this person is not limited and defined just by this one negative thing that they've done, right? Then you're not going to speak Lashon Hara about them. Because if you speak Lashon Hara about them, what you're saying is, this is who you are and that's it, period. Right? That's what Lashon Hara is. I know who you are. You did this and this. That's who you are. Right? Okay?
You speak Lashon Hara, you are solidifying the person's behavior as you see it.
As you see it, and maybe you see it correctly, but you're still solidifying their behavior. You're saying, that's it. You know, you're no longer good. You know, you're no longer connected. You no longer have potential, right? So what was Avraham Avinu doing with Saddam? Why is he praying for Saddam? He's saying they must have some connection above still. They just need some help in finding that connection between above and below.
So why did God destroy it?
Because he didn't have. They weren't even 10 tzaddikim there. They were really corrupt. They were so totally corrupt.
But I don't mean to belabor the point, but was it really a stone that Abraham paid for? A ruse didn't come from stone. Ruse came from Lot. So
Lot wasn't stone. Uh-huh. But he prayed for everybody. He didn't pray just Hashem, just forgive them. He says, let me do something about it. Let me try to save them. Let me try to correct them, right? And that's the big difference between Noach and Avraham Avinu. Noach, Hashem says, I'm going to destroy the world. Noach says, I understand. Avraham Avinu says, I don't want to let you do it so fast. I told you that one night I was giving a parsha class about Avraham Avinu, and we were talking about this and the different. And there was one of the girls had brought a friend of hers who wasn't Jewish, and we were talking about Avraham Avinu arguing with God. And the shir was over. Everybody gets up and leaves, and this girl is sitting there. I said, "Is everything okay?" She says, "Am I allowed to ask a question?" That's already the first sign. Okay, so I said, "Yes, of course you're allowed to ask a question." She says, "What kind of religion is this?" I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "You argue with God?" I said, "Yeah." Right? But that's, you understand, the connection is so strong that Hashem very often puts you in situations where Hashem is basically saying that, argue with me. Okay? So, האם התורה אומרת שאברהם מסתובב ואומר לכולם שסתום מלוכלכת? Does the Torah tell us that Avraham Avinu is going around and telling everybody how disgusting Sodom is? שלושה מלאכים באו אליו לאכול על שולחנו. 3 angels come to eat with him. What did they talk about? Wouldn't you imagine that he should have said, Shematim al Sdom? Have you heard about Sdom? The most disgusting people in the world. Gewalt, they're so disgusting. Shouldn't Abraham have spoken that way to the angels? כמה אנשים אמרו לו, מצווה לומר מי הם האפיקורסים האלו חייבים לפרסם? Wasn't there anybody that told him that it's a mitzvah to publicize that they're such non-believers? תארו לעצמכם, now imagine, אם אברהם היה אומר למלאכים, חברים, if Avraham Avinu would have said to the angels, my friends, דעו לכם, יש אנשים בעולם הזה שצריכים לאבד. You know, there are people in this world that we got to get rid of. המלאכים היו בורחים מיד, the angels would have run away immediately. Right? Remember the story when the Frierdiker Rebbe arrived in America? So among the people that came to greet him, there was some Lubavitchers who had come from Lubavitcher families, and one of them said to the Frierdiker Rebbe, you're not going to be able to do in America what you did in Russia. America is different, right? You're not going to be able to get the Jews to come back to Torah and mitzvahs. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said, America is no different. Right? Well, that imagine like one of his own, from his own Hasidic families, right? They and see the thing is, it's like Lashon Hara. It's not just a matter of not speaking it or not listening to it. It's also not thinking that way, right? You see negative behavior. Okay, so I'm not going to tell anybody, right? But are you telling it to yourself, so to speak? Are you speaking it to yourself? In your own self, are you saying, aha, you've done this, I know who you are, I'll never trust you again, right? So the angels would have run away, right? And he will say, et omek ha'amakim, says Reb Shlomo, the bottom of 190. Hazor HaKadosh Omer she'malach she'apach es Sodom ba'al Avraham. The Zohar tells us that one of the 3, not only the Zohar, but one of the 3 angels that came to Avraham Avinu was the angel that was going to destroy Sodom. Right? Madua, why? Why did he have to come to Sodom, to Avraham? Nachon katuv shu haya oto malach sheripe et Avraham. Hu gam halach l'Sodom. Yes, it says that it was the same angel that healed Avraham Avinu, and he also went to Sodom, right? I think there's a mistake over here. The one that healed Avraham Avinu was the one that came to save Lot. In any case, the question still is, why did the angel who was going to destroy Sodom, why did he have to come to Avraham Avinu? Zohar Kadosh Omer, the Holy Zohar says, when God told the angel to go and destroy Sodom, after all, it is a pretty cruel thing to do that. So Hashem wanted that Avraham Avinu should somehow sweeten the judgment. In different words, before this angel went to destroy Sodom, he came to Avraham Avinu to learn compassion.
How did the angel learn compassion when he turned over the city?
I don't know, but the point is a very important point over here. תארו לעצמכם, אם אברהם היה אומר, הסדומיים האלה מגידים, המלאך היה בורח מיד וגם לא היה מרפא את אברהם. If Avraham Avinu would have spoken against Sodom, the angels would have left and they wouldn't have healed Avraham Avinu either. If one has to discipline a child, okay, the question that you have to ask yourself, are you doing it because you're angry at the child, or are you doing it because you love the child? Are you doing it with compassion, or are you doing it because you're taking your anger out? That's true. Sometimes parents lose control and the kids get on your nerves, and you give them a good smack or something like that, right? But was that, like Reb Shlomo said, that sometimes his mother would get so upset with them and she'd call their father and she'd say, you gotta discipline the kids. And sometimes he would have to, but Reb Shlomo said he would first cry. If he had to give them a smack, he would first be crying. That's that's Rahmanis.
Is that where the saying started? This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you.
Among those who meant it sincerely, yes, that's where it started. Yeah. It's you talk about you were talking about trauma, right? And what happened to you on your bike. So there are different levels at which to handle that. For me, going to school as a kid was quite a traumatic experience. My wife still doesn't want to hear about it because she thinks I'm still suffering from it. Okay, so one of the questions that I had to ask myself was, you never heard of such things, right? No. One of the questions, she's a therapist, so I wonder if one of the questions I had to ask myself, and was a very serious question, is, do I believe this? I'm going back a number of years ago when I was working on this. Do I believe in divine providence? Do I believe that everything do I believe that in everything that happens, Hashem is there? That is hashgacha pratit. Okay, it's a very heavy question, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And what I came to was that maybe I can't say unequivocally I believe it 100%, but I could say that I would like to believe it, okay? Which is also a level of belief. So when I was able to get to that point and was able to say I would like to believe that Hashem is present in everything that's going on, so then my next question was, why did you allow certain things to be done to me? If you were there, if you were present, why I was just a kid, right? Why did you let me get abused so badly? And I can't say that I have an answer for all these things, okay? But but even without knowing the answer, I do accept that for some reason or another, Hashem wanted me to go through those experiences. In other words, that there's something that I needed to learn from all of that.
It's very comforting.
Okay? There's something that I needed to learn, and I hopefully learned most of it. Okay? My teacher training came from being with teachers who did everything wrong. Okay? That's how I was trained. Okay? But and there are things that like I remember one day I was accompanying the young man to his chuppah, and I, it was clear that, I mean, he told me that he wouldn't have made it to his chuppah, if not for my having helped him. And on that day, I said to Hashem, I forgive you for the harsh education that you gave me, because I realized that I wouldn't have been able to help this person had I not gone through the various things that I had gone through. Okay? So, but why did I have to be educated in that particular way? I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea. Maybe because maybe I was a real gangster in a previous lifetime, and I had to, who knows? I don't know.
I believe that knowing that that Hashem is there and has a reason, even if you don't understand the reason, is comforting.
And
While it's happening, you don't really understand. Even afterwards, you may understand somewhat.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't find out for many, many years, and sometimes you don't ever find out. Who knows? It could be like this, it could be like that, right? But the last point that I want to emphasize that Reb Shlomo is making over here is like this, that if Avram Avinu would have said the people of Sodom are disgusting, that would have been it. You know what I mean? That nobody would have been saved. The angels wouldn't have stayed with him. We always have to look for some way. Is there to say? Is there no way that we could make it better? There must be some way that we can make it better. Right? Now, sometimes it's not in your hands, and you can't really do anything. But sometimes, like I remember being at a bar mitzvah for one of my students, and the grandmother was still actually it was the great grandmother was sitting there, and you could see like this lady, she was like still the same like from before the Holocaust, very devout lady, and so on and so on. And she's sitting there at the bar mitzvah of her grandchild, maybe it was her grandchild, and she sees that some of them came by car, blah 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 blah, right? Okay, and that happened. That kind of thing happens all the time, right? And we could say, "Oh, look at this! What a failure! What a terrible thing! What a failure!" and so on, right? So the Shlomo was saying, if you're doing that, your Yiddishkeit is just on the street level. But if you're connected with your Yiddishkeit on the highest level, and you say, these people can still be tzaddikim, and the least I could do right now is to not give up believing that they could become tzaddikim still. But if I stop believing that, right, then I for sure I'm not contributing to that. Maybe I'm even making things a lot worse. So you don't understand the whole thing. You weren't, don't judge the other person until you're in their shoes. You don't, if I was in that person's shoes, I might be a lot worse. Rabbi Akiva, the great Rabbi Akiva said that before he started learning Torah, he hated the rabbis so much he wanted to bite them with like a donkey bites. It's a Gemara, Now I guess he didn't, but what do I know what I would have been like? If I'm in somebody else's shoes. I know I've got plenty to do with my own shoes, and right, but we get trapped in this game of being judgmental on other people and saying, like, I'm better than this one. Well, generally speaking, if we catch ourselves doing that, it's basically saying, I'm not growing anymore, and the only way I'm making myself feel better is by looking down at somebody else, right? So I'm not. If you're only happy if you're growing, and if you're not happy, that means you're not growing. So what are you going to do for entertainment? You go look around and see, like this one's talking during davening, that one is not so But it doesn't do anything for you for yourself, that's for sure, and it doesn't do anything for the other person either. Okay. And today it's the 18th of Tammuz. We're fasting because we really messed up in these things, and that's our avoidance. To really change that, to fix that. You know the story about this Jew. He wins the big lottery and he goes and gets himself a yacht. He's retiring and he's got this fancy yacht and everything, and he's out on the sea and he spots an island that's not on the maps. So it's amazing. He's so excited. He discovered an island. He comes ashore, and after a few minutes, this old youth comes out from the woods. He says, "Oh, Shalom Aleichem, I'm so happy to see you." He says, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, I had a yacht 45 years ago, and it got shipwrecked, and I ended up on this island, and nobody came to find me all these years because it's not on the maps." So the guy says, "You've been here 45 years, and he says, yes." He says, "And is there anybody else here?" "No, there's nobody else here. I'm here all alone." "So what have you been doing?" So he says, "Come, I'll show you." And he takes him through the forest, and he sees a whole little town that the guy built over the last 45 years. And he says, "Oh, what's this?" He says, "That's my house." "What's this?" "That's my bank." "And what's this nice building?" He says, "That's my shul." And he says, "And what's this nice building?" "That's also a shul." He says, "Why do you need?" He says, "That's one I don't go to." Right? We're always looking for something, saying, like, I'm better than that. I'm better than that. I'm better than that. Now, at a certain point in life, you need to, or certain aspects in life, you need to be able to say, like, think of yourself, I don't stoop to this kind of behavior, right? You do have to have that kind of, but that's to the behavior that you don't stoop. But to say that I'm better than this person, I'm better than this person, it's a dangerous game. It's spiritually dangerous. So we should hear good news before the fast is over. Thank you all for coming.
You'll notice that nobody is standing up.